Hello, and welcome to this special Christmas episode of Anime Audio Commentary. Today I'll be commenting on episode 6 of Chobits. If you'd like to watch along, then start watching now. Alright, so last we left off, she actually was given a book and she read the whole thing, and that's pretty remarkable, but something about the book was a little bit eerie, and it sort of kept fixating on how the main character had to leave and all that, so, I feel like that bodes poorly for the future, even if it is rather interesting that she is now capable of reading and presumably understanding a book. If nothing else, it's pretty big progress from where she was initially. I mean, it takes, normal kids, a couple years to get to that point. She's done it in, on all accounts, days or weeks at most. Oh dear. For Hideki, for someone who's seeming to have money problems here, who couldn't buy, the book for Chi and the dictionary, he's pretty quick to go buy curtains just to, darken the room when it gets too bright. Oh, wow. She's actually speaking intelligibly now. Wow. That's oh, okay. She's learned a couple bad things, but, she's probably talking on the level of, a 5 or a 6-year-old kid, able to put sentences together and still using, incorrect terminology for things, but, man. This is episode 6, she's already, talking and, kind of capable. She's already getting to the point where it's you sort of have to ask her questions are you feeling well? And she's capable of asking I don't know what that means, what are you talking about? And to be fair to Chi, she might not feel at all being a Persicom. Sure she has free will and all that, but feeling is probably a sensation that's beyond her. Unless she's really truly a fantastically advanced piece of robotics. So, in a way, this is interesting and nice, but at the same time, I feel like we're sort of past this stage where Chi can sort of get into trouble by virtue of not understanding how the world works. At least in a very simple and rudimentary way. Because, it's one thing if you're wandering around and you don't really know much about the world, but it's another thing if you are sort of rudimentally aware and then, someone lies to you and kidnaps you or something like that. That's a much darker thing to go to. It's a lot more, I guess, lighthearted if she doesn't really know what she's doing and she sort of makes a mess. Although I suppose, I don't know, there could be a little episode where, in a bid to help Hideki, she cooks a meal and it goes horribly wrong, something like that. Oh dear. Man, Hideki probably shouldn't be buying curtains if the phone bill and the electric bill are both due and, he's relying on his next paycheck. Man, he's just having a real bad day. Bills, being late, they're talking about the Tokugawa shogunate. Ah, dear. I mean, it doesn't seem to me that he ate breakfast either. The poor guy's just having a rough day. Oh. Man, forcing him to run laps, wow, okay. It's a joke, that's something, but, I feel like you can't be too flippant with a guy as concrete as Hideki, at least his good nature's sort of preserved him, but... Man, the poor guy. I mean, that she's going to call on him, that could be indicative of poor grades, I don't think that's necessarily the case, seeing as how he said he did pretty well, but... I guess that's just how this teacher works. So back to Chi. We were given a sort of ominous title for the episode at the end of the previous one. Chi weakens, which... I mean, frankly, I don't know what to make of that, but it certainly isn't good. And that she's just sort of sitting listlessly staring at the wall. That's not really a good thing either. And, if I were a gambling man, I'd have to wager that this probably has to do with the book she read. It's probably weighing on her mind like it's weighing on my mind. Ooh. Okay. So... Wow, that's interesting, that you would have to, charge a Persicom. I mean, I would feel like if they're so advanced that they can walk and talk and do things, they'd probably be, solar powered or something. Or, power considerations would not come into it. Man, so I guess, for something so big... Oh... Okay. Alright, it is a solar array. I was gonna say, it's surely you wouldn't have to, plug Chi in, right? Because, you can't charge her on, 5 volts, surely. Because, that's kind of what most computers take. They transform the voltage from a wall outlet down to 5 volts, but, I guess they do have a cord, too. So... Sumomo's saying there's a convenient location for the cord. Something tells me this is not the case with Chi. It might be convenient, but in an entirely different way. But... Oh dear. So I guess if you just do a full charge suddenly, it draws a lot of power, which... I guess makes sense, but I would feel like there has to be some sort of protective circuitry to prevent a large inrush of current. I mean, nevertheless, this would explain why Chi is feeling poorly, but, I'm not sure if just, plugging her into the wall is necessarily the best solution, because, I don't know. Chi being a custom unit, do we know that she has the appropriate voltage transformer to, avoid an issue? A lot of people don't know this, but if you let all the smoke out of the integrated circuit chips, they stop working. And a really good way to let the smoke out of them is to apply too great a voltage to them. Oh, Hideki. You have bigger fish to fry here. You can't be ogling Yumi. I'm wondering if this is going to be a bit of a running theme where she sort of intervenes, I guess. The poor guy doesn't have much experience, and I feel like Yumi isn't, I don't know, I guess aware of what she's doing necessarily. I don't want to say she's like tactless or causing trouble deliberately, but like, it's probably just Hideki. He has no experience and therefore everything is novel. Ooh. So by not skipping work and not going home to charge Chi, I get the feeling she's going to be worse off from it. Like when you leave your phone and it runs out of power, and like normally when you push the button it shows like a little plug into power sign. I get the feeling Chi's going to be a step beyond that, where it doesn't even have the power to display the little charging icon saying you should charge it. Which, it's not horrible, or rather I should say it's not irreversible, but it isn't great either. The only thing it can really do is just sort of plug it in and charge it and, well, just kind of wait and hope for the best. And the worst thing is that Chi probably doesn't know anything about what's going on here. Like that must be a really horrible feeling where you're just so absolutely tired and you don't know what's going on, and like I guess like imagine being a person who's getting tired for the first time and you don't know what sleep is. Oh dear. So unfortunately, oh, okay. Alright, so she's still like cognizant, but man, I thought, oh, it's a USB. Interesting. Man, I thought we were going to have some sort of like unfortunate incident where Hideki has to look for the socket, but I guess not. And even more unfortunately, he seems to have tripped the breaker by plugging her in, which indicates to me she drew a really large current. Because, I guess I can't speak with experience in Japan because they use like a weird 50 hertz power system. But in the good old US of A, a lot of circuits are rated for 20 amperes, which is a lot, but, multiple outlets are sort of circuited together. So if she tripped like, a convenience receptacle like that one just sitting in the wall, like, that means she was drawing a lot of current, which, man. Oh. Okay, so he just did what he was told not to do. He just, like, plugged her in, it's like, quick full charge. Like, you probably shouldn't do that, It's almost like he was told for good reason. Now, the question is, did he just trip a breaker or did he blow a fuse? Because if you blow a fuse, then you have to replace it, because those things melt. But I feel like in a residential building like this, you should have breakers rather than fuses. Man. Wait a minute, why would the phone be working? That has to be plugged in. Okay, there we go. Yeah, welcome back to the Stone Ages, Hideki. Oh, no, they just cut his phone. Okay. Oh. I feel a little silly now. There was that bit about the bills earlier. Chi didn't trip the breaker. He just had his power cut off. Which, that's interesting to me, because I feel like the power company shouldn't be cutting off the power to one individual unit in an apartment complex. I feel like if anything, his landlord would be getting on his case about unpaid bills, but I guess it's not that big a deal. Yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be more interesting if Chi was drawing like 20 amps of current. That would be something. But it is probably more likely that Hideki's lack of paying bills finally caught up to him. It is a little unsettling that she's sort of like kind of sanguine about this in the way that like dying people are. You know, the sort of peacefulness that descends upon a person who knows and has accepted they're about to die. Like, surely that's not going to be the case with Chi, but that it almost sort of seems like that is, you know, a little disquieting. You know, I do recognize that this is an issue Hideki's facing, but if she is solar powered, like, surely he could wait until tomorrow morning and just, like, take her outside to suntan, right? At least for a little bit. Or indeed, you know, just have her, like, stick her head out the window. He said himself that the room got really bright. Or, you know, maybe Chi just isn't like a solar-powered unit. I mean, I certainly haven't seen anything that resembles a solar cell, but you never know. Her being a custom unit and all that is, you know, it's something that rears its ugly head at the worst of times. But, you know, I guess beyond all of this, like, good on Hideki at least for going to these lengths to help Chi. Because, you know, if she's functionally dead weight at this point, like, you know, she certainly seemed abominably heavy when he was carrying her home in the first episode, so, you know, she's got to be pretty darn heavy now, too. And I guess when you also have to factor in that he's gone to school, then he's gone to work, and he's come home, and it's late at night, like, man, I certainly wouldn't want to carry much of anything at this time of night either. I guess if nothing else, it certainly does speak to his character that he's willing to go to these lengths, but, you know, it also sort of brings to mind the warning he was given, you know, don't fall in love with the Persicom. And, you know, maybe this isn't romantic love, but it's certainly devotion. I mean, like, if he's willing to climb this steep incline for her, like, you know, that's something too. Like, that's no little thing, you know. That's gotta be like, what, a 60-degree angle? I mean, it's darn near like a sheer wall. Like, definitely not something people are meant to be climbing up. And I feel like it's doubly remarkable that he's doing this with one hand while also holding Chi with the other. You know, I should hope that at the end of this ordeal he's learned his lesson, you know? But, man, this is a really harrowing thing to do, I feel like, because that was no small climb either. Whoop. Oh boy, you know, I was afraid of this happening. Like, wow. Like, right on his neck. Like, that's a good way to die horribly. Like, I mean, his instinct was seemingly to protect Chi from the fall, which, you know, laudable if potentially futile, but, oh dear. Man, you know, it is unsettling how she just sort of, like, powers off like that. You know, it is remarkably visually similar to death. Now, I feel like there are a few more questions here that need answering. You know, one of which I'm wondering is, Chi having powered down in this regard, would she retain all her memories? You know? Wouldn't it be a cruel twist if when she woke up she was restored to factory settings, essentially? That would be awful. So, you know, at least things are sort of resolved, I guess, but, it remains to be seen whether or not she's actually gonna come back to her usual self. I mean, I guess if she's capable of speaking, then she's about as good as new, but... I'm glad optimism won out here. Ooh, okay, so that's interesting. She can feel things now. Oh, that's interesting. So I guess she does have some sort of, sensory device that allows her to feel temperature. Oh, very interesting indeed. So, I wonder what's going on here now. Like, is this gonna turn into, a bit of a misunderstanding with, Hideki's neighbor? Or is he just gonna, scold him for not following his advice? Ooh. Oh man, they've got one of those old electric meters that spins, Wow. So, yeah, I guess once again, she's special. She's drawing insane amounts of current, I guess. Man. So I guess, Hideki should learn his lesson by now. It's time to solar charge chi, Oh, man, it really never ends. Now he's gotta pay rent, too. Man, the poor guy should probably, stop spending his money frivolously. Ooh, that's a concerned look on Chi's face. She's taking notice of this, and, I feel like she's gonna try and get a job. With perhaps, disastrous results. Alright, well that's it for this episode. If you've enjoyed it, then by all means, tune in for the next one. Merry Christmas, Space Cowboy.